Kenshi is a game that at first seems like a peaceful and friendly RPG, but then rips you apart in the first 6 minutes of gameplay. It's a game that will shoot you in the head the moment you look away. A game that will steal your girlfriend and drive off in your car. It will drop you so low on the social ladder that even stray dogs will have more respect than you. But at the same time, this game gives you the chance to rise from the bottom and become someone important in this world, crafting your unique story with your own hands. My introduction to Kenshi came unexpectedly. I was riding the metro to my boring office job when I noticed a strange leaflet on the floor. Change your life with just one call. I figured I had nothing to lose and that it might be interesting, so I called. But all I heard was some incomprehensible noise. Disappointed, I threw the file away, worked my usual day at my desk, and then went home as if nothing had happened. But when I got to my door, I was in for a surprise. Do I know you?
Grab him.
What is this? Where am I? What's this fly in my pocket?
Thank you for calling us and joining our game. We truly appreciate it. For a better experience, we've cut off your arm. Good luck. Oh, and by the way, to stop playing, you'll need to find the place shown in the picture and ask for it. That's the only way out.
Well, I won't be picking up mysterious leaflets off the floor anymore. So here we are, a naked guy with no money, no name, but a pretty attractive samurai look, standing between the yellow void and the burning nothingness. Wait, I see a faint outline of a city. Looks like that's where we should head first. But before that, let's figure out the interface. This is our inventory, these are our stats, and here is the map. There are 4 market cities, that's something. But it's still unclear where to find that mysterious place from the picture. Maybe someone in the city knows something about it. Oh, and here is our first encounter with people. I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about him.
Die slowly, pissant.
Now that's hospitality. Either way, after that, my naked guy fell and didn't get up. And this indicator gently hinted that if no one helps, there will soon be one more skeleton in the desert. But it seems we started off on the wrong arm. This time I managed to get closer to some friendly wanderers and ask them for a shortcut to the city. They kindly invited me to work for them, and I politely refused. But they kept insisting. With swift movements I managed to dodge their attempts to hit me with a stick, and soon enough we encountered a rival group of other employees, who were also eager to knock some sense into me and my aggressive companion, and so our group grew to 6. Luckily, not far from us, there was another massive brawl happening over the hill, and I saw my chance to blend in and escape, and that's exactly what I did. Like a proper little rat, I waited in the sand until they all finished each other off, and the winners were mysterious guys in hats. I scavenged the leftovers, even finding some raw meat. With this kind of gear and resources at the start, it might seem like the naked guy grabbed fate by the beard, but Kenshi is never that simple. Now I enter my first city. Most of the buildings here are made of stone, and the central hub for trade is the bar. By simply dragging items from one inventory to another, you can sell and buy goods and food. However, I didn't manage to make much profit. I explored a few more markets and checked out what they offered, but for me it was like staring at a delicious cake you can't eat. The most interesting place in the city for me was the slavers, where you could watch people being stripped of their freedom in real time. The main suppliers of such people are slave hunters, whom we've already met, and prisons. Speaking of prisons, as someone who's been clever since childhood, I decided that I could sneak into the local lockup and quietly steal something from a barrel. But I didn't account for one thing. There is a stat for theft probability, and if you are unlucky, an alarm gets raised and your head starts hurting a lot. So there I am, lying unconscious in a cell. At that time, I thought it wasn't a big deal, it's just a game after all, but I forgot one crucial thing. This is Kenshi, and it really doesn't want you to enjoy playing it. When I hovered my cursor over the bounty, I realized that I'd be sitting here for another 59 in-game hours, which translates to about half an hour in real time. But I got lucky. Almost immediately the slavers bought me, and I lost both my name and my freedom in an instant. However, I somehow managed to grab fate by the beard again and made it outside the city gates without being caught escaping. From what I've heard, they would have already crucified me by now. And so, I am once again out in the desert, running toward another city and thinking about how to remove these shackles and earn some money. Oh no, looks like the guards are awake. The local guards are so tough, they can not only carry my wretched body, but also fight off giant bugs 3 times their size. As I've learned, some cities here are part of a faction, the United Cities. And as you see, I'm already banned from entering these places. However, the local slave motivators here are unique, real Andrew Tates of this world.
Work is everything. Hurry up. If you can feel pain, it's because you're not working hard enough. What are you look at?
While I'm still unconscious, I can watch the guards fight the local wildlife. The outcome is obvious. But one thing took my attention, a man of iron priorities. After breaking both legs, the first place he decided to visit was the bar. Alright, time to break out of this madhouse. The lockpicking mechanic here is also interesting. The character has to spend a lot of time manipulating the lock, and the longer it takes, the better the chance of success. Voila! See you later, suckers! And for some reason I thought, they won't just leave me unconscious bleeding to death, will they? And the peasant wanderers couldn't care less about yet another dying slave. Time to come up with a new plan. Perhaps I will manage to escape if I wait for the guard to get distracted by yet another oversized bug? Yes, that's exactly what I need. Every plan has its flaws, and in my case it's a crossbow bolt. Moving on to plan C. Freeing my fellow prisoners so they can distract the guards and give me an opening. But no luck here either. These poor souls didn't want to run. So I decided to just sneak out into the night again and try my luck. And once again luck smiled upon me. For some reason the guards didn't beat me, and the status changed to ex-slave. Apparently another glitch occurred, but I'm satisfied. I set off once again on a journey into the unknown, still searching for that mysterious island from the photo. The next half day was filled with looting corpses, hiding from strange wild animals, and one dark encounter.
Please no.
Sorry, friend, you wouldn't have survived anyway, and I need your stick. 10 minutes later, I arrived at yet another city, where I was clearly mistaken for someone else and gently patted on the head before being thrown into another cage. So this is how hell looks like, ladies and gentlemen. I look at the timer showing when my sentence ends, and it's not encouraging. Almost at the same time as me, a sent ninja ends up in jail too, and I get an idea. I plan to free this guy and escape with him. Hold on, buddy, I will help you, just stay close to me and don't rush.
Oh my god, beautiful! Please.
Hey, where are you going? Not so fast! I will free you again, and you just distract the guards, giving me a chance to slip away unnoticed, alright? So while I was unconscious, the slaves fought me again, and honestly, that's good news. Now I can legally leave this damn city, thanks to my new owner, and avoid getting hit over the head. Once I got far enough from the city, I decided to remove my shackles, thinking no one would notice. But they did, and I had to take emergency action. Of course I was knocked out, but the guards switched their focus to another fleeing slave, which gave me enough time to recover and sneak away from the danger. The sweet forgotten taste of freedom. As I wandered into the unknown, I did what I had become best at, skinning dead animals for profit and looting the bodies of fallen people. Realizing that the United Cities would only bring me trouble, I headed southwest, occasionally passing out from hunger and hoping to find someone who knew about the mysterious place from the photo. I walked about 30 miles before I spotted the outline of yet another city on the horizon, a brand new one that wasn't even on the map. Losing his mind and consciousness, the naked guy somehow made it to the main gates without anyone hitting him over the head. Here I traded all the stolen honestly earned goods for dried meat and meat rolls, and the hunger bar finally started to rise. I wandered around the bar a bit, found someone who buys stolen goods with no question asked, and a surgeon/barber who could change my appearance for 200 cats, the local currency. The saddest part is that you can cancel the order for a new look, and I wasted my cats for nothing. This forced me to do a little more looting. Oh yeah, give me all your money. But as they say, you have to know when to stop, and I am the perfect example. In my pursuit of easy money, I decided to steal again, this time from a clothing vendor. Yeah, what could go wrong? There is no one around. But I forgot about the alarm again, and soon my body was thrown onto the street for the lawman to pick up and put me in a familiar place. Ah! At this point, I had to mentally pause everything, go outside, touch some grass, and remind myself that stealing from honest people is bad.
Do not read in the card!
I helped an old lady cross the street, donated a few coins to charity, and cleaned my room. This world is such a wonderful place when you don't do evil, isn't it? But no matter how hard I tried to convince the gods of my good intentions, it didn't shorten my sentence. But this prison won't break me. No one can break me. This city is just a pathetic refuge for people far weaker than me. You can stand by the gates or practice on wooden dummies all you want, but mark this day, the day when you almost cut the naked guy. Well, that was awkward. So I ended up sitting in that prison for a long time. During that time, I managed to chat with my cellmates, watch as an unconscious woman was brought in, only for her to wake up 2 days later and simply walk away. I saw a group of pirates thrown behind bars, watched them organize an escape, and then watched them fail. Then, the game, in its twisted sense of humor, decided to make my life a never-ending show of violence. There was a bug where the slavers bought me out of jail and tried to escort me out. But for some reason the bounty on my head didn't disappear, which made the guards think I was escaping every single time. And so, a few nights passed. At some point, the slavers stopped coming, and I thought that if I simply waited for my bounty timer to run out, I'd be released. And guess what happened when the timer ran out? That's right, I got a new sentence! At this point, I admit I was really on the verge of tears. I even thought about reloading a save from before I arrived in this cursed city. But no, I told myself, this is part of my story and I have to get out of this myself, somehow. Then on the 12th day, it finally happened. The naked guy picks the lock, sneaks down the first floor, and managed to slip past the guards for as long as possible without being noticed. And then I'm spotted. Time to run, naked guy. Time to run fast. Come on, you've made it past the gates. It's almost over. Dodge. Keep moving forward. Dodge again. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Huh?
But this time the guys got distracted by something else. And I wasn't really unconscious. I was just pretending. Now I could quietly get up and sneak away from their line of sight. Why he's coming back?
Good night, girl. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ooh. Now no one will tell me what to do. At last, I am free. After passing by some ancient structure from a forgotten civilization, I set out to mine copper, as I needed money, and money was needed to make it safely to the west. My time in prison wasn't entirely in vain. I was lucky enough to talk to a wanderer who was locked up next to me. He told me that he had seen a place like the ones in my photograph when passing by a farming village to the west, near the Foglands. The local said that it was a very mysterious place, and anyone who stepped foot there vanished without a trace. So I needed to gather a team and, preferably, find a replacement for my lost arm. I mined with my pickaxe, scavenged, and mined again. I explored relics of the past and lost consciousness after almost every encounter with wild dogs. But I got back up, patched myself up, and kept moving forward until I found another city. Here I was sure I wouldn't get arrested, as this land wasn't under the jurisdiction of the United Cities, judging by my grey bounty marker. I sold everything I had found and bought some food for the journey. And I also witnessed an interesting situation. A town woman was arguing with her slave, and soon she was ready to give him to me for 1,000 cats. Without much hesitation, I sold my second katana and made the deal. Welcome aboard, Ray. I'm sure we'll be great friends. Let's just get those shekels off you. That's better. Great things await us. What are these toothy giraffes, Ray? Why do they want to eat us? Run, Ray! Run! I will lure them into the city, Ray. Just hang in there. Don't die, my friend. Don't die. No! Why? Why do such noble humanoids die so young? But I will take your pants, of course. I need to recoup my investment somehow. After selling Ray's pants and a few giraffe skins, I moved on, once again, completely alone, trying to avoid the harsh rays of the sun and admiring the beautiful night sky. I reached another friendly town where I found an unclaimed sleeping spot by the campfire and finally got some rest. In my dreams, Ray appeared to me, and I imagined how much more we could have seen together. At dawn, I headed into the city to sell and buy everything I needed. I even joined some guys for a mug of delicious rum, though they weren't very talkative, which I liked. Now, this might surprise you, but it turned out that this city was also part of the United Cities. The guys quickly recognized me, and as a result, I ended up in a warm, cozy cell once again. I'm sure I'm on the fast track to becoming a criminal mastermind, I swear. There is not much to tell about this stay, just more of the same escape attempts, with the guards catching me each time, until eventually I managed to run far enough to break free. But these guys were more persistent. Guys, we're already far from the city, why are you still after me? Your wives and children are waiting for you at home, come on, leave me alone. After knocking me out, their navigation system must have malfunctioned because they just stood on my unconscious body, preventing me from doing anything. I found a way to shake them off by swimming, but that was a mistake, considering my injuries. Upon reloading, the guards, as expected, picked me up and then just returned to the city. And finally, I continued my journey. My sandals trudging through the hot sand, my eyes marveling at the wondrous structures of the ancient world, and my right hand missing the left one. I wandered into what were clearly dead lands. The acidic environment from a nearby volcano had poisoned the soil, ruining crops and decimating the population of this abandoned desolate city. Yes, a sad sight. I will take that though. However, not all life had perished here. For example, there was an obvious case of fierce competition between local rats and monkeys. Clearly, I was at the lowest rung of the food chain here. After traveling a considerable distance through the volcanic ridge, I reached a new area, one with at least some semblance of vegetation. Immediately, I stumbled upon a civilization, but it seemed that this was a camp of particularly proactive people. I approached them to get a sense of their mood, and...
Chaos! Ah!
Yeah, I got the message. As I realized while running from that maniac, they were bandit slaves. They used slaves as soldiers, raising them to become new members of their gang. When they finally caught me, I decided it was time to gain some combat experience and see what would happen if I didn't try to escape. I quickly grew disillusioned with these bandits. Behind all their grandiose words and training was this. This is what I call gameplay. Boredom set in, and I made the decision to plan another escape. And the perfect spot was near a massive robot that gave me Pacific Rim vibes. Too bad they never made a sequel. I acted swiftly, using all my experience to dodge the bandits' attacks. At some point, the local wildlife and crab riders got involved in the fight, turning the whole thing into a bloodbath. I like it. At least for the reason that I ended up with some very nice loot, even if I couldn't use it due to my disability. I now identify it as a combat helicopter from the Apache series, and there is nothing you can do about it. Flying away from the crime scene, I found yet another abandoned city. Here, I discovered such valuable items that, after selling them, I could finally afford to live in Dubai. Life was getting better, friends. All I needed was a market to sell my goods. Moving forward, I encountered a canyon with some beautiful pink things, and an abandoned city filled with bandits. This place was also tied to an incident where I somehow managed to lie unconscious for 3 in-game days under acidic rain. I don't recommend it. Then I came across a massive creature about the size of a 7-story building that was eating iron. Probably best not to approach it. However, it played a key role in the upcoming skirmish between sand ninjas, myself, and this aggressive old killing robot. Thanks, brah. Not far from there, I stumbled upon an ancient outpost full of expensive equipment. And of course, a guard bot I couldn't defeat no matter how hard I tried. So I had to settle for a few scraps of loot that I managed to snatch, but it was more than enough for my needs. My hunger was finally sated, and all that remained was to find some semblance of civilization. And believe it or not, I found it, in the form of some charming creatures called skin bandits. All I wanted was to hide from the acid rain inside a building, and there they were. At first they seemed quite hospitable, and I thought I could finally get some sleep. But of course, things are never that simple in Kenshi.
Has anybody ever told you what fresh skin you have, brother? Can I have it? I think it's best that I have it now.
These psycho robots didn't just knock me out. They literally strapped me to a device that strips off your armor first and then slowly peels away your skin. And I couldn't do a single thing to get free. Just a damn circus of horrors. After a few hours, all that was left of me was a chunk of naked flesh, which the robots happily looted. Let's head in another direction, past those wild robots with pincers. At least with them you know what to expect. After passing through a storm of lightning, torrential rain, and fear, I arrived in an area where hope returned. There were tall trees here, and I saw the guards of the local hive. Yet another race with their own outlook on life, who decided to beat me up and then leave. A few hours later, I finally found what I had been searching for. Behold, Morn. A city nestled under ancient turbines. Through battles and tears, I managed to reach the main gates, where, for once, no one wanted to eat me, skin me, or slap me in chains. Sadly, the city itself had become a refuge for the poor and downtrodden. Here, I sold everything I had gathered along the way, bought a backpack, a map of cities and settlements, and most importantly, I gained new company. Meet Fall. He looks like a really tough guy, but he agreed to help me search for the mysterious place from the photograph. Plus, it's always more fun with a friend. With these thoughts in my head, we left the city and headed northwest. And I must say it was beautiful. Before long, we reached the swamps, where we encountered some of the deadliest enemies in the entire game – red spiders. Our first meeting with them was a disaster. Thankfully, we weren't eaten alive, but my dear friend fell into a long recovery coma. This means that his chest health had to reach at least 0 before he could stand up again, and I couldn't carry him for obvious reasons. So I had a bright idea. Since we were near a city, I could quickly run to the local bar, the one with the skeleton on the sign, and hire another friend. So this is Mew, a drunk with a dark past and an equally uncertain future, who gladly agreed to help. And since the drinks were flowing, I decided to hire Stubbs Mamusso, who claimed to be the best swordsman around. An extra pair of hands wielding a blade is never a bad thing. In just one evening, I gained not just allies, but a family. Together we would overcome any hardship and move mountains. Or so I thought, because our adventure came to an abrupt end before we even made it out of the city gates. First I lost consciousness, then the so-called legendary swordsman went down, and then Mew's legs gave out, causing her to drop fall. I got up and tried to help Mew with her legs. By that point the swordsman had already died. But then another spider came and knocked me out again. Then a whole group of spiders arrived and proceeded to eat everyone alive. Yes, really, it ended like that. Maybe this adventure wasn't meant to have a happy ending. Maybe I should just leave it at that point. Just kidding, let's go in another direction. After a long night of crawling on our knees and freaking out over every red pixel that flashed near our group, we finally reached a settlement to resupply and ask for direction to the Foglands. At last we were out of danger from the red spiders. Thank goodness, I've never felt so tense in my life. After a bit more traveling, we stumbled upon something like a fortified mini-settlement, where we sold everything we had gathered in that short time. Just for fun, I also bought a farmer named Finn. But the most important thing was this specialist in bionic prosthetics. The one I had been searching for so long. And let me tell you, there is nothing quite like the feeling of being able to do things with both hands again. This world took everything from me, and now I am taking it back, one bite at a time. We spent the night here with the crew, motivation at an all-time high, and now nothing could stand in our way. Well, except for a group of weak, hungry beggars with sticks. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. They stole our food, and now to survive we had to make our way to the nearest city again. And there it was, the city. What could go wrong now? Well, the city turned out to be run by religious fanatics, and because Fall was with us and they really didn't like this race, they arrested all of us and threw into jail. Well, not all of us. Finn was fine, but only because he twisted his ankle and got left behind. After sitting in the cell for 6 hours, luck smiled on us again, and we were shifted from prisoners to slaves. But not Finn, he was just fine, in case you were worried. Of course, this situation didn't suit me, so I ordered the swordsman, Fall and Mew to run in different directions to distract the slavers and give me a chance to escape. The plan worked and we all managed to get out, except Mew. Sorry girl, we will come back for you one day. Now there were 4 of us left, and all but Finn were outlaws. So near the next city I gave him all our things to sell and buy provisions. But for some reason the local guards didn't like Finn either, and they threw him in jail. They found me and the swordsman too, and locked us up as well. We were so close to our goal. According to the guards' conversations, we were just a few miles from the Foglands. I couldn't waste this chance. After an unsuccessful attempt of a simple escape, which only got me an extra 100 hours in prison, Fall, Finn and the swordsman, who had already been released, agreed to help me one last time. Finn secretly bought provisions and passed everything through the bars when no one was looking. Now all of them waited patiently for the moment I tried to escape again. This time they would be my living shield, distracting the guards. And so at 12:03, when the main gates were empty due to a nearby brawl, it was time to put the plan into action. We broke out of the prison, sprinting down the street, and soon the main gate was just behind us. Oh, here they come! Good work, Stubbs! Finn, distract that one!
Target acquired.
Damn, there's still too many of them. Come on, just a bit more. I just need to reach the water. The plan could still be called a success. Even Fall managed to reach me, mostly unharmed. We were almost there, just a final push. The finish line was in sight. The Foglands. A truly mysterious place, shrouded in dark secrets. Even a naked guy like me found everything here suspicious. And soon it became clear why. There they were, the Fogmen. Creatures of the hive subspecies, but those looked even wilder. Luckily, I survived my first encounter with them. Who knows what would have happened if they had caught me. Our path led us to the city of Mongrel, a refuge for those who wished to escape the law and their past lives. As usual, I checked out the local traders and met someone else. This was Beep, a creature from the hive. He was kicked out because he was, well, not the brightest. And Beep was desperate to join my group, for free no less. I liked this oversized ant. I decided to take him along. Especially since Fall, due to his lack of mobility, had fallen into the hands of the Fogmen. I was curious to see what would happen next, and as it turned out, those lovely creatures carried their victims back to their lair and slowly ate them alive. Yeah, tough fate. Sorry, my friend. And as Beep and I continued our travel, we stumbled upon an interesting nomad settlement, though they weren't very chatty. So we moved on, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Before us stretched a shore and a village just like the prisoner's description from the beginning. Hungry bandits started chasing us, but they were so famished they couldn't even catch up. So we lured them into the village, and together with the farmers, we beat them to a pulp. Seeing the ghosts, just like in the story, I immediately went to the village leader, who listened carefully to my tale. He told me that the place I sought was right here, 1 mile down the slope. It's hard to miss. I thanked the village elder and prepared to head out. Wait, can my companion stay and rest here for a while? He needs proper care. Thank you. And so, my journey was nearing its end. It had taken me a whole month to get here. The road was filled with pain, hopelessness, hunger, gains, and losses. I could have done much more in this world, but it's time for me to return to the real world, to my real friends and family. I will never forget Mew, who found a new god and started mining coal, nor Stubbs, who clearly lied in his resume and now serves time in prison for saving me, nor Beep, who stayed in the village communicating with the only creatures that understand him, nor Fall, who was eaten by those giant mutant ants, nor Finn, who... Oh, alright, Finn got caught by those butchers too. Well, too bad for Finn. The world of Kenshi spares no one. Chris, pull me out! I've been here way too long already.
Okay, dokie.
My left arm. It was all just a dream. Or was it?